We'll get started here in just another minute or so. But when you're ready to begin, you'll start in child's pose. So big toes together on your knees, slip the hips towards the heels, and then you'll start to slither the body back and then extend those arms towards the top of the mat. As you extend your arms towards the top of the mat, you can continue to wiggle your hips right side to left side and then allow yourself to create a little more space so that you can bow your chest down as close as you can to the mat, or at least rest your forehead on the mat, or even stacking your palms or fists so that you have a place to place that space between your eyebrows. As you arrive into this position, begin by drawing a full breath in through your nose. And then you'll exhale to release that breath. Couple more inhales here, drawing that breath in through the nostrils. Let your belly expand like a big balloon. And then exhale, let that air out from the mouth, decompressing the abdomen. Couple more. Inhale through your nose. Let that breath go. One more full belly breath in. And exhale to release that breath out. Take a moment to take the tongue, lick the lips, seal them to one another, and then begin breathing in and out of your nose. As you begin breathing in and out of your nose, if you still have your hands stacked, you may be able to extend the fingertips out towards the top end of the mat, or you may want to even bend those elbows to the right and to the left side and rest your chest closer towards the ground. Through that constricted breath, breathe in and out of your nose. Drag it back and forth, creating more of a fogging of a mirror sound or an ocean-like sound. Allow the back to expand as you breathe in. Allow the sides of the ribs to open up as well as your lungs as you pull that breath in and as you let that breath go. Begin to draw that awareness or your focus to your inhales and exhales, observing how it feels, noticing if you're squeezing any muscles of your face or if you're relaxing them. If that breath feels long or if it's really shallow. And nothing is incorrect, you're just making a simple observation. And perhaps if something doesn't feel great, you're allowing yourself to let it be and just ease into it. Just a few more inhales here. You can begin massaging the space between the eyebrows as you rock your head from temple to temple. So rolling your head to the right side, back through center to left, back and forth. Returning back to center, if your arms or your hands are stacked, extend them towards the top of the mat. Draw a full breath in, lift your chest up a few inches. And as you exhale, release the chest back down, reach towards the top of the mat with those fingertips. Send the hips towards the heels. Feel this long elongation as your fingers reach and as your tailbone extends towards the heels. One more inhale here. And that big exhale out here. As you take your next breath in, press the palms into the mat, lift your chest up a few inches. And as you exhale, walk your hands towards that top right corner. Leave your left hand to that top right corner, push your left hip to that left side, and then slide your right hand either to the small of your back or hang on to the heel on this right side. Drop your left temple down. Breathe in through your nose. Let that breath go. Either the elbow stays down on the mat, or you can lift it up if it feels better. You can also bend the arm, bring the hand to the small of the back, or your back. Breathe in through the nose here. And out of the nose. You've got one more inhale here. And that exhale here. As you take your next breath in, both right and left arm extend towards that top right corner, pressing the palms into the ground. We'll walk to center. And then you'll exhale, take it over towards that left side. Keeping that right hand towards that left side, pushing through your right hip. Take that left hand either to the back or to the heel. Drop your right temple down. Breathe in through your nose. And out of the nose. Relaxing that right shoulder away from your ear, either elbow off the ground, elbow into the ground, or even keeping the elbow into the ground, bending your arm, bringing your right hand to your back. You've got one more inhale here. Let that breath go. As you take your next breath in, both arms extend back towards that top left corner, press the palms into the mat, walk your hands to center, and then exhale. Release your chest back down towards the ground. As you take your next inhale, lift up into that tabletop position or on all fours as your knees come in. You'll wiggle your hips right side to left side. And then go ahead and pause in the center. As you pause in the center, tuck your left toes under. Extend your right leg behind you and then cross this right leg over towards that left side of the room. And exhale, push your right hip to the right side, looking over your left shoulder. Big belly breath in, maybe reaching through the crown of the head or really pressing into the ball of your right foot. Let that breath go. Inhale, take your gaze back towards center. Bring that right knee back to the center. Wiggle those hips right side to left side. Curl your right toes when you're ready. Extend that left leg behind you. Cross it over towards the left side, right side. Looking over the shoulder, pressing that left hip away. Feel that long lean through the obliques or the side of the hip. A breath in and that breath out. On your next inhale, take your gaze back towards the top of the mat. Bring that left knee back into tabletop position, wiggling your hips right side to left side. As you find stillness, lift your left hand off the mat and a few circles with your left wrist in one direction and then the opposite. Place that left hand back down. Same thing with the right. Take that right hand, place it back down. Now lift that left hand and take the back of your hand down on the mat. You're welcome to curl your toes under and then you can slide the hips back. Your thumb points towards the right side and your fingers point towards your knee. There's a soft bend in your elbow. And then you can trace a few circles in one direction or you can create a small fist and open the fist up. Switch the direction if you're taking those little circles. Or if you're opening and closing the fist, decide which feels better for you. Go ahead and pause, take a breath where you're at. Let that breath go. And then inhale, slide forward, release that left hand, a couple of circles to bring back that blood flow. And now spin your thumb to point out towards the left edge. Place your palm down on the mat so your fingertips once more point towards your kneecap. And you'll exhale, just slide the weight back. Your heel of the hand might lift up and that's fine. And if you feel like rocking back and forth, you can, or if you prefer more little circles, then you can trace circles in one direction and you can switch it out when you're ready. Keep a soft bend in that left elbow so that you don't hyperextend it. Don't go past your edge. Pause when you're ready, a breath in. Relax the shoulder away from the ear and a breath out. As you take your next inhale, slide the weight of the body forward. Lift that left hand a few circles in each direction and then place that palm back down. Lifting that right hand, back of your right hand goes down to the mat. Send the weight of the body back. Either those small fists as your fingers come towards your thumb or those little circles in one direction. And switching it out the opposite direction. Shoulder away from the ear, breath in fluidly through the nostrils and out of the nostrils if possible. Pause where you're at. Breathe in deeply. Let that breath go completely. And then inhale, slide forward, release the wrist. And now the palm comes back down, but the thumb points towards that right edge and our fingertips towards our knee. Then we'll exhale, slide back just a tiny bit. Bend that elbow. Heel of the hand can lift off the mat. You can rock back and forth, find stillness, or even those small circles if that feels better for you. If you're pulling your shoulder up towards your ear, just relax that shoulder away from your ear. Switch circle directions if you haven't already. And then returning to center, we'll draw a breath in and we'll let that breath go. We'll inhale, slide the weight forward, release that right hand, just a few circles to bring back that blood flow. Place the palms down, pull your shoulders back, maybe lift your feet off the mat since the toes were curled. Circles with the ankles in each direction. And then we'll take 3 rounds of cat-cows, curling our toes under, drop the belly down, pull the ribs together, retract your shoulders, inhale, lift the chest all the way up. On your exhale, press the tops of the feet onto the mat, dome your spine, cat it up. Press the palms firmly into the mat as you dome your heart up towards the sky. Inhale, cow pose, a soft bend of the elbows, tilting the chin up towards the ceiling, shoulders drift back. Exhale, dome your spine, press into the ground. One more, inhale, cow pose. And then exhale to cat it back up. Feel the ribs tying together like you're zipping up a zipper or even tying a shoe. And then inhale, neutralize. As you neutralize, you can wiggle if you'd like, and then find stillness. As you find stillness, slide the hips back. And as we inhale, we're going to take our heart towards that top right corner, over to the left, and then figure 8. Send the hips to that back right corner, over towards the left. So trace 3, maybe 5 figure 8s in this one direction. And then when you're ready, you'll slide the hips back. And then you'll trace it to that opposite corner. So take it to that top left corner, around to the right, and then to that back left corner, around to the right. So again, 3, maybe 5 of these circles or these figure 8s, your choice. And then you'll return into a tabletop position as you take that next breath in. As you come into that tabletop position, 3 more rounds of cat-cows. This time it'll be roller coaster cat-cows. So send the hips back as the top of your feet rest on the mat. Bend those elbows a tiny bit. Inhale, dip your heart down, lift your chest up. Exhale, press the palms into the mat, dome the spine, send the hips back. Inhale, cow pose, slither forward. Exhale, dome and slide back. And one more, inhale, cow pose. And exhale, catting it back. As you take your next breath in, work your way back into a tabletop position. From this tabletop position, tucking those toes, lifting those knees, you'll exhale, come into a downward facing dog or an inverted V. As the hips go up, begin to march your feet back and forth. So paddle your feet, bend that right knee, straighten the left. Switching that out. Can be fast, it can be slow. You can even take your time and pause there. Gaining length through the calves, finding that length through the bottom of your foot, pressing through the hips. Pause in this downward facing dog whenever you're ready. Draw a full breath in here. And as you exhale, tilt the hips up even further. Press your chest closer towards your thighs. Grip into your mat with your finger pads versus the heel of your hand. As you hollow out your armpits, let your head get really heavy and there's a soft bend in your elbows. As you take your next breath in, lift the heels up nice and high. Bend your knees generously. Look forward. Begin to walk or step your feet in between your thumbs as you exhale for a forward fold. You also have the option to walk your hands towards your toes instead. Inhale, you'll lift up halfway, a flat back. Pull your navel up and in instead of dripping or drooping the belly down. Exhale, release and fold the body back down towards the thighs. Separate your feet as wide as you'd like. Grab your elbows for ragdoll. As you grab those elbows, look in between your arms, look in between your legs versus trying to look to the tip top of your mat so that there's no creases or no wrinkles in the back of your head or the back of the neck. The hips lift up, the legs stay slightly bent. You can begin to straighten them back and forth as you slide from the right side of the room to the left side, or even from the top of the mat to the back of the mat. Return back to center. As you return back to center, your hands release to the mat. Walk your feet back towards one another. A soft bend of your knees, and then inhale, reverse and rise. Slide those arms to the sides whenever you're ready. Sweep those arms up towards the ceiling. Knit the ribs together and then exhale. Pull the heads of your elbows down. Feel the shoulder blades come or connect towards one another. Inhale, both arms reach up, and then exhale, release your hands down to the mat. Step back with your right foot, lower, drop that right knee down, top of your right foot on the mat. Find your peace fingers anchoring to the ground, looking forward. Hug your left hip back, send that right hip forward. When you're comfortable, inhale, lift and rise all the way up. As you lift and rise all the way up, those arms are in line with your ears. And then you'll exhale, pull the elbows down to your sides. Inhale, lift the arms back up. And then exhale, your hands will rest on this left quad. Relax the shoulders away from your ears. Push that right hip forward. Hug that left hip back so that they stay in line and center. Take a full breath in. Let that breath go completely. Another inhale here. Letting that breath go. Imagine you have a string on your head and it's lifting you up. You'll gain a little more length through the hip flexor on this right side than if you just send the weight of the body forward. A full breath in. Let that breath go. On your next inhale, slide the hips back, lift those arms up. Exhale, hands come down. They'll frame your left foot. As you frame your left foot, begin to slide your hips towards the back end of the mat and straighten that left leg. As you straighten your left leg, you can shimmy your toes towards the top of the mat so that there's more space. You're welcome to place your fingertips on blocks, on books, whatever you may have. But I want you to look forward if you can and push the hip towards the back. Dig your heel into the mat without hyperextending your knee. And then point the toes forward and bend those elbows as you exhale down for this half split pose. If it's really, really tight and difficult for you, then you may want to lift your body up instead. Rest your hand on that left hip. Point those toes up towards the sky and then take a soft bend from the middle of the body versus fingertips down. That might be too intense, so you have different levels where you may want to rest. Whatever you're doing though, make sure you're breathing in through your nose and out of your nose. Make sure there's no level of pain. You should feel like you're at an edge, kind of range it from 1 to 10, 7 being an ideal position, 10 being excruciating and maybe holding your breath. So back off if you need. One more inhale here. And that exhale here. As you take your next breath in, rising back up into that low lunge. So lowering the sole of your left foot down, curling your right toes, lifting that right knee, placing the palms down. Inhale, extend and lift that left arm up towards the sky. Shoulders pull away from your ears. Press and reach through your right heel. One more inhale. And then exhale, take your left hand, place it on that left hip. Spin the heart open, feel your right hip drop down. Keep that left hip opening up. Breath in and a breath out. Inhale, the arm reaches up. Exhale, the hand comes down to the mat. Take your time as you slide your left foot to the back of the room. Peek the hips up towards the sky as you exhale, that downward facing dog. March or paddle your feet out. Bend your right knee, straighten the left, back and forth. And then inhale. Lift your heels, roll your vertebrae forward into a plank pose. Release to your knees if you'd like. Hug your elbows in. Your elbows are going to brush your ribs as you take the heads of the elbows, pointing them back and lower your chest all the way down. As we lower all the way down, a reminder, if your back is tight and tender, any low back issues, sciatic nerve, take your legs out wider. If your back is fine, keep your thighs closed. Send your hands out beyond your mat, either palms down or cupcake finger protectors. You'll inhale, lift your chest up. As you lift your chest up, relax your glutes here. As you relax the glutes, pull the elbow heads back. Feel your shoulder blades come together. If you need to give your glutes a little break, just kind of wiggle your legs. That'll let them know it's okay to release. Breath in and then exhale, lower your chest down. Inhale, we'll rise up once more. Again, glutes are soft, hip points reach forward. You'll exhale, drop your right shoulder to the center of the mat, looking over to the left side. Nice. Inhale, come back to center. Shake the legs out, relax those glutes, shoulders away from your ears, and then exhale, left shoulder down to the middle, looking over towards your right side. A breath in and that breath out. As you take your next inhale, come back to center, lift up once more, and then exhale, release and lower down. So we release and lower down. Release the forehead down to the ground. Walk your feet back towards one another. Inhale for plank pose on our knees. Big toes together. Separate those knees to the edges of your mat. Wiggle the body if you need to, and then slither back as you come into that child's pose. As you release the hips towards the back, extend those arms towards the tip top of the mat. Maybe even press your fingertips into the mat so that you lift your elbows up a little higher, so that perhaps your biceps are higher than your ears. Breath in, breath out. One more inhale and that big exhale. As you take your next breath in, palms down to the mat, lift your chest up, work your way back onto all fours. From all fours, curl the toes under, plank pose off our knees to exhale, downward facing dog or hips up towards the sky. March or paddle your feet out, bend that right knee, straighten the left. Pause when you're ready. On your next inhale, lift the heels up nice and high, bend your knees generously, looking forward, walk your feet in between those thumbs or vice versa. Exhale once you reach the top or the back for a forward fold. Inhale, lift it up halfway. Exhale, release it all the way back down. Separate your feet as wide as you'd like, either taking ragdoll once more, or perhaps this time taking your hands to the small of your back, holding onto your fingers or wrist, or even interlacing those fingers. Releasing the chest down, swaying side to side or from the top of the mat to the back of the mat. Letting your head dangle by saying a yes or saying a no. Sliding the hands, if you prefer, around the hamstrings or below your knees or behind the knees. Big breath in, big breath out. Return back to center wherever you're at. Fingertips release to the mat. Feet come back towards one another. Bend your knees generously and then inhale, reverse and rise. Keep your spine domed until you're tall. Extend those arms out towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull the heads of your elbows down. Feel your ribs come together. Inhale, your arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold, lowering the palms down to the mat. Stepping back with that left foot. Step it way back. Drop that left knee down, top of the left foot on the mat. Press that left hip back, left hip forward, right hip towards the back. Peace fingers looking forward. And then only when it feels right, inhale, lift your body all the way up into that low lunge position. Arms in line with the ears, a breath in. And then exhale, pull the heads of the elbows down, lift your chest up high. Inhale, arms reach back up. Exhale, both palms on that right quad, shoulders drop away. Hug that right hip back, push that left hip forward. Feel that connection as you press the top of your left foot into the mat. Breathe in fully here. Lift through the crown of the head so that you can really feel that length through the hip flexor. Let that breath go. Couple more inhales here. And that last big breath in. Letting that breath go. As you inhale, slide the weight of the body back, extend your arms back up towards the ceiling, and exhale, your hands release to frame that right foot. Looking forward, you'll start to slide back, straightening that right leg. All those same options are there for you, so you can walk those toes forward. You can rest your fingertips on blocks, on books. You can rise all the way up and your hands can rest at your hips. Breath in, pointing the toe, flexing that toe, whatever feels best for you. Exhale, you'll bow down if it feels appropriate. Gauge where you're at with the hamstring. Don't go past that point where you can't breathe or you're constricting the breath, or maybe you're even holding your breath. Just 2 more inhales where you're at. 1 more big breath in. Sip in a little more air if possible. And then that exhale, softness as you release the breath. As you take your next breath in, begin to lift and rise up. Work your way back into that low lunge. So sole of your right foot down, curl your left toes, lift your left knee, leave your left hand down on the mat or the fingertips, and then inhale, extend and reach up towards the ceiling with your right hand. Drop that left hip down. Allow that right hip to open up slightly. 1 more inhale here. And then exhale, your hand comes to your hip, looking over your shoulder. As you look over that shoulder, if you're on the blade of your foot, try to leave your big toe down and hug the hip back instead on this right side. Breath in, breath out. Then inhale, right arm up. Exhale, right hand down. Take your time as you step that right foot to the back of the mat into that inverted V or downward facing dog. March or paddle your feet out once more. Lift the heels high, drop the heels towards the back, lift them up high, drop them towards the back. Once more, and lift them up high, almost like you're doing heel raises. And then exhale, the heels go down as far as your body permits. On your next breath in, lift your heels, roll your vertebrae forward into that plank pose, down to the knees, elbows in, your shoulders are here over your wrists, and you'll exhale, lower your body all the way down to the mat. Slide your arms forward as your arms come forward, lift your chest up for Sphinx pose. Pull your elbow heads back, bring your fingertips towards your shoulders so that you can align the body. Once more, if your back is tight or tender, separate your legs, otherwise keep them nice and tight. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, bring your palms back down towards the mat. Breathe in, push your hip points into the ground. Take that pressure out of your low back by releasing your glutes. As you take that pressure out of your low back, lift through the crown of your head. One more breath in. And that breath out. Inhale. And then exhale, slide your elbows out. Drop your right ear down on the mat. Bend those knees. Windshield wiper your legs right side to left side. As you come right side to left side, pause in the center, leaving that right ear down on the mat. You'll extend those legs towards the back end of the mat. Extend your arms out like a letter T. Then slide your left hand to your breastbone. As that left hand comes to your breastbone, you'll press into that left palm and start to stack on your right side. As you stack on that right side, you can continue to slither your right fingertips away from your body. This may be just enough for you. This may be where you're like, I'm good here, and stay right here. If you need a little bit more, lift your left leg off the right, bend the knee up towards the ceiling, step your foot either behind your body, that's a little more, or in front, whichever you prefer. If it's in front, you may want to bring that left hand to your left hip so that you're guiding your knee up towards the ceiling and the toes point towards your right foot. If you need a little bit more, so you're getting into the pec and maybe even squeezing the erectors, you can extend and reach that left arm up, bend that left hand, bring it somewhere to the small of your back or look for that right arm. Reach to the crown of your head so you're trying to flatten out the ear, the temple. Make sure that you can breathe, so breath in and a breath out. If you find that anything is too much, just kind of reverse the steps and find where it's comfortable for you. Sometimes we need to test the waters, so decide if you need to test it a little further and then decide where you need to let go of. 2 more inhales here. And that last breath in when you're ready. As you take your next breath in, if your arm is bound, extend it up, bring it back down in front, extend and straighten your left leg if it's stacked, roll your heart or your chest and your belly back down towards the mat. Hands come to your breastbone, bend those elbows, windshield wiper, right side to left side. As you take your next breath in, we'll switch it out. So now you're taking your left ear down to the mat. Arms are out like that letter T. Then you'll slide your right hand back down to your breastbone. Stack on that left side. Feel the length. Reach to the crown of the head. Lift that right leg. Step that right foot behind you. As that right leg comes behind you or even to the front, find that comfort first. Then if you need to extend, right arm up, right arm can go up, and the right hand can come anywhere it feels comfortable. Breathe in and out of the nose. Try to allow the weight of your body to be comfortable and supported on your mat. Again, if you've gone too far, then tilt your hips slightly towards the middle of the mat versus forcing or pressing towards this left edge. 1 more breath here. And that breath out. If the arm is bound, inhale, release and lift it up. Bring it back down to the mat as you exhale. Stack that right leg on top of the left and then exhale, roll onto your belly. As you roll onto your belly, slide those palms down to your breastbone. Bend those knees, windshield wiper those legs, right side to left side. As you take your next inhale, extend your legs nice and long. Hands slide to the breastbone if they're not already there. Elbows curl in, elbows point back. Inhale, plank on your knees. And from plank on your knees, maybe let yourself decompress that back further by either wiggling the hips right side to left side, or even taking a round 2 or 3 of cat-cows or figure 8s if that feels right for you. Only when you're ready, Come into that child's pose as you send the hips back and extend those arms forward. As the arms come forward and your forehead is resting on that ground, bend your elbows. So you might want to walk those elbows closer towards your ears. And as you bend the elbows, your palms come together like you're clapping. And then your thumb can slowly release towards your neck or your vertebrae. Dig into that right elbow as you put pressure into that right elbow, relaxing the left shoulder away from the ear. Big breath in, big breath out, then switch it out. More pressure on that left side as you press that left elbow into the mat. Relax the shoulder away from the ear. An inhale here. And that exhale here. Then neutralize, extending both arms towards the top. Lift the chest up, work your way back into that tabletop position. From that tabletop position, tucking the toes, lifting the knees, exhale, lift the hips up towards the sky as you come into that inverted V. March or paddle your feet out, bending that right knee, straightening the left, back and forth. As you take your next breath in, extend and lift that right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend your knee and stack hip over hip. Just a couple of circles with your right knee in one direction, and then the opposite direction when you're ready. Come back into that three-legged dog extension and you'll exhale, pull that right knee into your chest. Take your time as you step that foot in between your thumbs. Once it's in between those thumbs, look forward like you're taking off on that start line. Spin that back foot into warrior two, then walk your hands to the left side and all 10 toes now point towards the left edge as you take a wide-legged forward fold. Hands can either stay on the mat or you can slide your hands to the right and to that left ankle. You can bend those knees as much as you need to. You're welcome to keep them straight and bow your chest down. Wherever you are, breathe in through your nose and out of your nose. You can even take this side sliding. So bending your right knee, straightening the left, switching it out, or staying there for a breath in one position and sliding it and switching to the opposite side. Keep a breath there. Let that breath go there. Slowly returning your hips back to a neutral position. So wide-legged forward fold. Fingertips come down to the mat. Inhale, we lift up halfway. As we lift up halfway, we'll spider walk our fingers to frame that right foot once more. As we frame that right foot, drop that left knee down to the mat. Top of your foot slides over, left foot over towards that right edge. Take both right and left hand, extend it towards that top left corner and bow your chest down like downward facing dog, arms. And then the knees in that low lunge position. Full breath in here and a full breath out here. One more inhale here. And that exhale here. On your next breath in, lift up. Your hands return back towards your right foot. You'll extend that left leg behind you. Keep that left hand down. Right hand comes to your right hip. As you exhale, look over that right shoulder. Now, if you'd like, take the blade of your right foot, open it up so that the sole of your foot is no longer connected to the mat, and you might feel it on that external rotation of this right hip. If you prefer to keep the sole of the foot down, that's perfectly fine as well. If you need a little more quad length, take that right hand, extend it towards the left foot. Curl the left foot towards your body with or without holding onto your pants, or even grab a towel or a blanket and wrap it around the top of this left foot. Do your best not to sink your vertebrae down, like over extending or creating more of a banana back, but instead the heel coming towards the glute, lifting through the crown of the head, pressing the ground away with that left hand. Big belly breath in here. Big belly breath out. Option to let go now. Option to not even grab the leg. One more inhale. And that exhale. We'll release, and as we release, extending the leg, both right and left hand down on the mat, start to walk your right foot in between your right and your left hand. Top of that left foot is down on the ground, straighten the legs, send the hips back for one more half split. In this particular half split, you can go anywhere you already had traveled to before, or if you prefer, start to walk your hands towards your hips so that you can rest your glutes on that left heel. If that feels comfortable, stay there. If this is enough, stay here. If you need a little bit more, point your toes up towards the ceiling, bend your elbows, and exhale, fold it forward. Your hands can crawl towards this right foot. Your hands can wrap around the right foot. or you can lift your chest up if that's enough for you. Find your edge and then release and surrender there. 2 more inhales here. One more big breath in, letting that breath go. If you happen to be elevated or on your knee versus your glute towards the heel, then go ahead and begin to slide your hips towards your heels. Once you get there, let's all inhale, lift up. And as we lift up, slide your left hip towards that left side of the room. As you slide that left hip towards that left side of the room, cross this right leg all the way over towards the left side. If your right glute lifted up, extend your left leg forward. If it didn't lift up and you want to keep it curled in, that's fine. Now inhale, keep that knee close to your chest, lift that left arm up, and then 2 options. Either exhale, twist, and bring that left arm to the outside edge of your right thigh, or take that left arm, wrap it around this leg instead, and then bind with your right hand. Your choice. Both work fine. One's a little deeper than the other, so decide which variation you prefer. Make sure that you're relaxing the shoulders away from the ears and that you're breathing in fully. Let that breath go whenever you're ready. One more breath in. And then let that breath go. As you take your next inhale, counter twist by releasing and spinning towards that left side. As you spin towards that left side, a breath in and then that breath out. As you take your next inhale, neutralize. And as you neutralize, shift the weight of the body forward. If you have your left leg curled towards that right side, extend it. And then let your right foot stay in that figure 4 position. You can even use a block or some pillows to anchor it. Flexing your left toes. As you flex those left toes and support that right thigh, you'll exhale, begin to walk your body forward. So a little more into the hip, a little bit more into that hamstring glute attachment perhaps. If your toes pointing up towards the ceiling, it's too much, then let them point towards the top of the mat instead. Take a full breath in here. Let that breath go. If your ankle or that ankle bone or even the blade of your foot are on a trigger point on your quad and it feels okay, then stay there. If you need less, then release. One more inhale. And then that exhale. As you take your next inhale, slowly begin to lift the body up, extend and straighten your right leg to meet that left leg. Inhale, sweep both arms up towards the ceiling, knit your ribs together. So imagine you're tying your shoes, and then soft bend of your knees. You'll exhale, hinge at your waist and fold forward. As you fold forward, relax the chin down towards the thighs or the chin down towards the knees or even your shin bones. Breath in and that breath out. One more breath in and that breath out. As you take your next inhale, we'll rise up. 2 options. You're working your way into tabletop, so you can always just swing your legs behind you, or you can cross those legs in front of you, rolling over your shin bones, placing those palms down, coming into tabletop, and then curling your toes, lifting your hips for downward facing dog. March or paddle your feet out, bend your right knee, straighten the left back and forth. And then inhale, extend and lift that left leg up, bend the knee and stack the hip. Few giant circles in one direction, a few circles in the opposite direction. Return back into that 3-legged dog extension and then exhale, pull this left knee into your chest, step that left foot in between your thumbs, use your left hand to walk that foot forward if you need it. Draw a full belly breath in, looking forward as you let that breath go. And then spin that back blade down into warrior 2 position until you're able to come into another wide-legged forward fold. Bow that chest down, lowering the forearms or the elbows down to the mat or just knuckles down instead. Breath in, breath out. One more inhale here and that exhale to release. As you take your next breath in, your palms come back down to the mat and you'll lift up halfway. Spider walk to the left foot. So the left toes point forward, the left knee bends, that right foot turns to point towards the front of the mat. Drop and release the knee down to the mat. Send your right foot over towards the left edge of the mat. Come into that variation of downward facing dog and on your knee as you press the palms down to the mat. Full belly breath in here. Full release out. Another 2 inhales here. Whether you're on the blade of your left foot or not, it's up to you. Last inhale. And that exhale. Place the palms back down to the mat, lift your chest up, walk your hands back towards center, return or square the hips. So now you've extended that right leg behind you. As you extend that right leg behind you, walk your foot in between the right and the left hand, top of that right foot on the ground. Exhale, send the hips back. So we send the hips back. We'll bow that chest down. There's one little piece that I went beyond. I meant to get before we went into the half splits. So before you go all the way back down, slide the weight of the body forward. And as you slide the weight of the body forward, bring both the right and the left hand towards that big toe side of your left foot. Walk your foot out towards the edge. And then from here, drop that right hip down, pull that left hip back, and then inhale, extend and lift up towards the sky with your left hand. Bring that left hand to your hip, staying there. If you need a little bit more, for instance, if you want that quad stretch, curl the heel in towards the body, reach the arm back, and then curl the heel in towards the body. Remember not to over curve the spine. Instead, think of yourself being on the meatier part of your quad or your knee, so above the kneecap and not necessarily on the kneecap. As you slide the heel towards the glute, make sure it's enough, but not so much that you can't breathe. One more big breath in here. And that release here. Inhale, let it go. Exhale, your hand down to the mat. Now walk your foot once more in between. Take that half split, and if you didn't go all the way back, begin to slide the hips all the way back. Breath in, heart up high. Exhale, walk your fingers towards your toes as you bow that chest down. Draw a full breath in here. Let that breath go. One more. Letting that breath go. As you inhale, start to lift your body up. Slide your right hip towards the right side. Extend and sweep this left foot over towards the right side. And your variation is either hugging that right heel towards your left glute or right foot extends towards the top. Inhale, lift and extend up towards the ceiling with that right hand, and either slice the pie by bringing the forearm towards that left side or wrapping your arm around the leg. Inhale through your nose here. Exhale out of the nose. One more inhale here. Let it go. As you take your next breath in, release, and then exhale, counter twist towards that right side. Breath in and a breath out. Inhale back to center. As you come back to center, if you have this right heel curled towards the left glute, extend it forward, sliding the top of your left foot onto that right quad. Support it if you need to, or let it dangle. Either way, take a breath in. And when you're ready, exhale, you can lean forward for deeper sensation. If the blade is on a trigger point, make sure that you're breathing fully, or maybe you've slid it away so it's not on that trigger point, or you're elevating it slightly to release the amount of the trigger point pressure. Another inhale here. And exhale. When you're ready, inhale, rise up. And as you rise up, extend and straighten that left foot to meet the right. Shimmy the hips. Inhale, lift those arms up. And then exhale, forward fold, lowering your chest down towards those thighs, releasing your hands anywhere it feels comfortable. One more breath in. And that breath out. Inhale, you'll begin to lift and rise up. As you lift and rise up, bend your knees, slide the weight of the body so that your back is now on the mat and the knees come in towards your chest. Your hands can rest at your kneecaps. You can trace a few circles in each direction or just sway side to side. And then we'll inhale, come back to center, lowering the soles of our feet down, cactus or T your arms. Breathe in through your nose. Lift the hips up, slide the hip to the right side, and then exhale, drop your knees towards that right edge of the room. Bring that left hand, if you'd like, as an anchor for your left thigh, looking over towards that left side. Little supine twist as we breathe in and out of the nose. Inhale, work your way back to center. Switching it out, lifting the hips over towards that right side, letting the knees fall over towards the left. Left hand on that right thigh, looking over towards our right side when it feels good. One more inhale here. And exhale here. As you take your next breath in, looking up towards the ceiling, returning your back and your hips back down to the mat, releasing the low back, windshield wiper your legs right side to left side. And just for about 30 seconds to a minute, maybe that's 3 to 7 inhales and exhales, we're either coming into your variation of Shavasana, which could be extending the legs out to the corners of your mat and your arms down to your side, or if you have the ability to come to your couch or your chair or even your wall, extend those legs up towards the ceiling for a supported waterfall. So you'll let the glutes rest, the hips drop down, the heels anchor into the wall, or if you have that chair, then your legs might be bent and your calves are resting on that supported cushion. If you prefer just to stay on your back, just stay on your back. Wherever you are, breathe in fully and let it go completely. Bring that awareness back into your body. If you're at the wall, pull the knees into your chest. If your legs are to the corners of your mat, take a big morning stretch and then curl those knees in towards your chest. And if your legs were resting on your couch, you can gently guide them in as well. We'll roll over towards that right side, resting on that right bicep. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out of the nose. And then you'll inhale, begin to lift and rise up into a comfortable seated position, facing anywhere you'd like. As you come into that comfortable seated position, draw a breath in. Maybe your eyes are closed and your shoulders release away from your ears. Bringing those palms into prayer and at your heart space, you'll exhale, bow to yourself and to our journey we've shared, releasing those palms in front of you as you bow your chest down. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's truly been an honor and a pleasure. Inhale, you can lift back up. All right. Thanks again for being here. Let me know if you have any questions or if you're sending a message through chat, that's perfectly fine as well. Try to get from, bye Carolyn, I try to get from crown all the way down. Thanks, Ramona. All right, you guys, have a great day and I'll see you guys next week.
Okay, so long.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Colleen.